are added every day. So if I can give you a list today, and tomorrow you say, how come this company is no longer in the list, or how come this company, because it is alive. As we sit here, there are others being onboarded, there are others being removed. And it even shows you the ones that the licenses have expired and who are in the process of renewing. One of the things that I'm going to announce tomorrow is about the duration of time of the renewals. The country has been crying, the community has been crying that the renewal of every year doesn't work very well, because by the time you organize yourself to get people to organize, take them abroad, your time is gone. So we are going to look at how we can extend the time and how to make it easier for people to be able to register and work within the system. The question number C, the list of Kenyans who have successfully applied for jobs in diaspora, including the countries they are deployed. We have attached a list, and it's presented here, cabinet, of the lists of the Kenyans, and we hope that the list will grow now that we are trying to make this as efficient as possible from the Ministry of Labour. The status of investigation to the operation of Miss World Start Africa Limited. This is a case being handled by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. I will be holding a meeting with the senior leadership of the DCI. They told me that they are working with close to 1,000 cases of fraud, of Kenyans who have been defrauded, and action will be taken. On the supplementary question that was asked by Senator Chirangaya, whether the ministry will compensate the victims, the ministry does not engage in defrauding. But the person who defrauds, if they are found guilty, arrested, charged, if they are found guilty, then I think part of the requirement will be for their assets to be taken and compensation to be done, not just for them just to have time, but they need to repay back the money that they stole from innocent Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Senator Chalagai, do you have any supplementary question?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Not point of order, but it should go on record that the Cabinet Secretary is misleading the House. You know why? The list is saying he has filed through the Secretariat. It's not there. So why is he playing with the minds of Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, we are serious people. We don't wake up here to come and joke around. If the CS cannot take his work seriously, Mr. Speaker, he should be sanctioned, because the issue Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, have been conned daily by fake recruitment agencies, Mr. Speaker. So I find it a disrespect to this House that a whole Cabinet Secretary, who is not new, to come before the Senate and mislead the House, to mislead people who have sat even in Cabinet, including Senator Onyonga, who was Assistant Minister, Mr. Speaker. Is it even fair? The Cabinet Secretary must, Mr. Speaker, apologize to this House for lying, Mr. Speaker, not lying, for misrepresenting, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chalgay,
Number two, Mr. Speaker.
Just have your seat.
Okay.
For some communication. The Secretariat is following up on this list to check whether it was attached or not. So before you make those allegations, let us first confirm. You know, Senate is House of Records. We confirm first, and then you can maybe comment. But what I want to do is to ask the Secretary to confirm whether this list was attached, and also your officers also to counter-check whether they did it. But meanwhile, you can ask your supplementary questions.
Mr. Speaker, and you have to note that unless you struck off the answered, because in his response, the CS says he has attached. So I hope the Secretariat will strike out that part of the answer so that we don't mislead Kenyans. One question so that I allow other colleagues, I'll come later for mine. Mr. Speaker, you agree with me, and this is my first supplementary question. No wonder Kenyans are conned daily. Because if the Cabinet Secretary cannot provide a list of cleared recruitment agencies in the country by telling Kenyans to go to website, how will be somebody in Machakos, somewhere in Tala, have an internet? If the CS could come and table the list of all recruitment agencies, those who have been blacklisted, is it hard, Mr. Speaker? How will his grandmother somewhere in makwiny in Wote know from where Mr. Kafuluka comes from, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, it must be even my own grandmother somewhere in Nandi, Mr. Speaker. Even in Bomet, how can they go to website? No wonder, Mr. Speaker, everybody is gone. Can the CS, Mr. Speaker, even in Meru where you come from, can the CS table the agencies that have been cleared to do recruitment, that have been blacklisted, Mr. Speaker, that are pending clearance? Then I can have satisfaction of my response to us. Otherwise, if it doesn't table, Mr. Speaker, then we are gerrymandering with the lives of Kenyans.
Senator Chalege, you know the one went digital a long time ago. And that is why I think in that spirit, the CS is maybe requesting you to just click on the website and get the list. Because the one has gone digital on so many things. Do you have a smartphone with you? Do you have a smartphone? We can test this website, whether it is working. No, I've just asked you a question when is it.
See, I thought I should go on record. Mr. Speaker, this is not about Cherargei, it's about the ordinary Kenyans in Kibra who don't have smartphones, Mr. Speaker. How many Kenyans today have smartphones?
Senator
Even
Chalege,
in Meru itself.
Senator Chalege,
It might be 1%.
Because this is your question. I'm just asking whether you attempted even to click on the website. Did you try?
I am asking on behalf of Kenyans, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator
It is
Onyonka.
the Cabinet Minister, Mr. Speaker, to provide information. Even in Nandi, the people who can access smartphones across the country are less than 1%, Mr. Speaker. So it is not fair, Mr. Speaker, that you allow the CS to slide with.
No, the CS will answer your question, but I was just asking you a supplementary.
No, I can
also
prove, yes, but
whether it
Mr.
is
Speaker,
working,
I
because
didn't
I
get that
wanted to
information
confirm.
because when you go to website of NEA,
As the
there is
chair-
no recruitment that has been blacklisted, that is pending approval, that is functional, including first choice recruitment, Mr. Speaker.
Okay,
So the point,
okay.
Mr. Speaker, we are asking these questions on behalf of Kenyans. I'm not asking on behalf of Cherargei or my family or my
Have
other
your seat.
interests.
Have your seat. But also, Senator Chalege, don't you know that also Kenyans would like to know whether you are able to use internet? Waziri, respond to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'd like to say that as far as I know with my records, I signed the list. I attached it, and it was delivered to Parliament. We'll follow up with my staff to see whether the people did the right thing. So I cannot say it is attached if it is not attached. As part of my answer, it was delivered. And so we'll check. If there's any misnomer, my apologies, it will be given, but I believe the list is provided because I looked at the list, I signed it myself, and got it attached. Number two, Mr. Speaker, it is important, I want to say two things. One, Kenyans who are applying for jobs, applying for a job is a full-time job. If you want to apply for a job and you want to go and work in India, in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia, in many countries, if you're applying for a job, you do research about the job from wherever you are. And you may not have a smartphone, but you're a young man, and the Gen Zs who are applying for this, they have access. They can talk to somebody with a smartphone, and they can be able to look. What I want to tell Kenyans is this: be very careful about recruitment agencies that come to your village and tell you they're recruiting you, and they want you to send you to overseas, and that you need to pay them some money to process your documents. That is why we have this list that is alive. And I know paper is important because the list I may even give you, the list I've given you on paper, has already changed because it is live. And in the words of US presidential candidate Kamala Harris, we are not going back. We have to move forward with technology. We can't continue going back on paper. We need to move forward with technology. So I do understand the challenges that we are facing. That is why the government is rolling out the digital network that is going to encompass basically every village in our country where there are schools, and so that we ensure that people can be connected and you can actually log in for free and be able to check. So I urge Kenyans, and they can talk to their leaders, to their senators, and I like the spirit Senator Cherargei has in protecting his people. Talk to your senator, talk to your MCS, say this person is recruiting me. Are they valid? So we can double check so that you are not conned. The other thing that I'm doing is that I want to work with the agencies in a way that if the agency, because the agencies are being paid a fee, a commission, that wherever it is possible, which should be about 90% of the time, they should not charge a Kenyan for any processing fee. So they absorb that as part of their cost, so that Kenyans are not defrauded, being told, pay this amount of money, we'll take you overseas. Unauza shamba, unauza gari, unauza, all your savings, you put them there, and then you find the person is fake. So we want to get into a system whereby let them get access to financing, get their people all sorted, and then they'll be paid their fee. So it's a service they're providing. They don't need to charge the Kenyans. So we're working through that system to ensure that people get their right. So I urge leaders in this country to please also support us in ensuring we identify rogue ones. And the best way is to go into the internet, look at that live link, which keeps on changing every hour, to ensure that that person maybe say they are there, by a day or two, they have been removed. So keep on checking before you engage and sign documents. I submit, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Kadri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question to the CS is whether to confirm that the government has appropriate bilateral agreements that have safeguarded the rights of all workers being recruited to go and work abroad, in particular noting that a number of very vulnerable workers have ended up abroad and come back in coffins, and most of those are not the kind of person you seem to have in mind who goes to a website or who has a smartphone that would actually do the research that you are thinking of. Can we have copies of these bilateral agreements submitted to ensure that it has clauses that protect against malpractices, including retainment of passports of workers who go abroad, including retention of their salaries for months on end in the name of paying for their air tickets and paying for the agency fees? I would want to see how the government has protected. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to know whether the ministry has set aside a budget to actually sensitize those who cannot access websites and the lot that I'm speaking about by discussing these issues on radios, listing the genuine and the not genuine agents, in order for the ordinary, desperate girl in the far-flung village in Dori who wants to go and work in Saudi Arabia is able to know that they are being conned.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Senator, for that brilliant question. It's a very, very good question. One of the things that we are doing, and the reforms that I'm bringing that we'll be announcing tomorrow, is a new way of training. We'll ensure that anybody going, and especially to some of these countries where these issues are, and they should undergo a training. And during the training, they'll be empowered. They'll be empowered with information about what their rights are. Your passport is yours. You should never give your passport to anybody else. You give your passport maybe to the agent as they are processing, but they give it back to you before you leave the country. Nobody should hold your passport. Nobody should hold your documents. We are going to empower them on how to get in touch with Kenyan government officials, of how to protect for their rights so that they're empowered. I'm going to ensure that the system is streamlined, that before anybody leaves our country to go get a job, they know they can count on this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the question about the budget to sensitize, I'd like to say I'm even going to take it a step further. We can't be operating from Nairobi. Kenya is not Nairobi. I'm working on a program to go and visit basically all the constituencies, all the counties to start with, where we will have meetings with agents, with jobs, with programs of enlightening Kenyans, working with county governments, but also mostly with members of parliament, so that we can be able to empower Kenyans and give them the information. And we'll be able to communicate to media and vernacular stations will be able to tell the stories that we are telling so that people are aware. And I'll even go a step further with the guidance given, whereby we are going to run adverts and communication programs to empower Kenyans. Not only about the challenges they face, but also of the various opportunities. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm currently looking at it this way. When I was on our way back from Germany, I met a number of Kenyans at an airport in the Middle East, and they are working, you know, security guards, others were working in hospitality. Then when I was there, I met a Kenyan who was coming back, said he works in that country as an engineer. So the jobs you're talking about are not just the household jobs that people talk about. We are talking about a data bank of hundreds of thousands of jobs that we want to accumulate for people who are journalists, for doctors, nurses. We have a demand for nurses, but we realize that nurses don't even know that they are needed, you know, and we are working on all this. There's a question I want to, Mr. Speaker, to reply, and that is the issue of depositing all our agreements. I'm going to ensure that this House has all those labor agreements so that you can also be able to scrutinize them. We are going a step further in our agreements. We are trying to ensure that our qualifications match those qualifications of those countries so that they don't have to go and retrain again, so that our job qualifications are accepted automatically. We're also making sure that they are protected by immigration, you know, and interior governments over there from harassment and also from being deported without being heard. So we are looking at all those rights. So we've learned our lesson over the last few years. I'm quite lucky, and I thank the President for putting me in this docket, because the experience I garnered as a Minister of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora is really coming in handy, because these are not new things to me. Now I'm in the right ministry to correct all the problems that have been going on. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Senator Mofai.
The mic is defective. It's working. These innovations, Madam Speaker, I want to revisit the very first question that the CS was interrogating, and I want to know what is his ministry doing to make sure that the physically challenged people, you know, in some cultures, Honorable Madam Speaker, these people face some cultural stigma, such that they don't even come out to register for benefits, maybe in the government. What initiative is the ministry trying to undertake to make sure that these people are whipped into registering so that they can benefit from your ministry? Number two, Honorable Speaker, we have seen very old people travel to far-flung places in search of these benefits. What is the ministry doing to make sure that you devolve these services very close to the people who are supposed to benefit from those services? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS, you can respond.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think our Honourable Senator came a bit just got in. We've already tackled this issue. And I'll repeat myself, we talked about the physically challenged and how we are bringing them all aboard and how their families, and we've got teams on the ground. And I requested you that if a member of parliament knows somebody who is not in the system, not only the disabled, but also other vulnerable, children and the aged, to let me know, and we're going to handle. We had a big discussion, lasted quite a while on that issue. On the other one about the far-flung, I think I lost the final question about people far-flung places. I already made an announcement right here, and I announced a new policy that from December 1st, we are going digital. They'll get their money on their phone. So we had a discussion about that earlier before you came. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Onyonka. As Senator Onyonka is speaking, I'd request Senator Wafula to come in so that we move on to the next question.
Thank you.
Senator Onyonka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. CS, Madam Speaker, I would like you to protect me because my colleagues seem to be
Order,
consulting.
honorable members, can we hear Senator Onyonka in silence, please?
Thank you. CS, I am happy to see you here today because I know you as a friend of mine and somebody I've worked with before. I'm actually going to ask a very simple question. If you remember when you started talking about the declaration of the provision of information, and you brought in the data protection law. When I walked in, that is actually what you said. You said that it's not possible for you to avail information so that we can know who has received social protection money. The reason for that, CS, is because the people of Kisii County that I represent have been asking me to give them the names of the people from the wards all the way to the sub-counties. How many people does the Kenyan government provide finances to or pay the monthly stipend to from all our wards and all our sub-counties? CS, I believe that the law doesn't stop you because essentially the argument you're making is that you cannot disclose that information, and I believe that could also be the clever way on how you're trying to justify and say that you can't give us the names of the people who have gotten jobs ever since the government started signing the bilateral agreements. CS, we want that list. The reason why we want that list is that Kenyans, we have a bad habit. When we are given an opportunity to look for things which we call Kenyan, we only share them with our tribes and our friends, our cousins and our families. That list is the one which will show the equity, the fairness and the distribution of those jobs that you are giving out there. So the first question I wanted to ask you is, can you please promise this House that you're going to provide that list, and it will be a genuine list, and it will be an honest list? Number two, and Madam Chair, I really got confused because when I came in, there was a wonderful question that Senator Kavindu had raised, and this had to do with the Kenyans because this is a matter she's held personally. The question I wanted to ask the CS is that does he think, and I could suggest that, Your Honorable, you could engage with with the Chief Secretary Musalia. Do you think, or don't you think, that as we sit in this House, that it is actually us as a country, we are busy complaining how the American government has never compensated Kenyans who are injured from the bomb blast which took place. But the reality is, it is our responsibility as leadership in this country to make sure that this House can pronounce itself so that even when the Americans are busy in court trying to figure out this issue, don't you think that as Kenyans we need to compensate our people who died and the people who actually were blown up during that bomb blast which took place in Nairobi? I think, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, we've been extremely irresponsible and casual the way we handle this matter. And lastly, I want to ask the CS, I hope he can...
Honorable Senators, you are actually supposed to ask just one question.
Thank you. I will stand down, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
CS?
Thank you very much, Senator Nyonka, for your questions. In terms of provision of information, we have with us in our offices the payroll. And because it is important, and I totally agree with you, we don't want to ghost people being paid. We want people to say, huyu mtu analipwa, atumfahamu ametoka wapi. I have no problem of any individual member of parliament in the National Assembly asking me, can you give me specific information, so that, because I can be able to give you that information, so that you can be able to double check and ensure that those people that have been listed are within your area, so that you can also help me also identify, maybe some have passed away and they are still being paid, others are moved to other counties and they're still being paid under the name of your county, etc., etc. The other question that you asked about we don't have a problem giving the names of Kenyans who have gone overseas on these jobs. We have the list. So usually what happens that we dispatch them here. Our job is to get them the jobs. They go overseas, then we let diaspora now, because once they get into the plane and cross the Ethiopian border going north or Tanzania border going south, they become a diaspora issue, even as we follow up. But we are now keeping tabs to ensure we know where each Kenyan is and where they work, because any Kenyan who is in distress is important to us. And I can also ask my senior and brother Musalia Mudavadi, PCS, to provide that information. On the issue of our responsibility to also compensate, I think that's an issue that Parliament can engage in and bring it up as an issue, and so that it can also be budgeted for, and with proper research. So it can be budgeted for, and money is put aside for that form of compensation by the Kenyan government. But in the meantime, we are going to push for them to get their rights from the United States and other areas where they should be paid. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Senator Cherarke, your second supplementary question, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My final question to the CS. Bwana CS, there are ladies who have given birth in Saudi Arabia, popularly known as kadamas, who have stranded children, and they cannot come back to the country because there is perception that it is child trafficking, yet DNA has been done to confirm that it belongs to them. What is the ministry doing to ensure that they are able, through the diaspora department, that they are able to come back home without having those restrictions from that country? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS.
Thank you very much. When I was in Saudi Arabia, I met families. I met a lot of single mothers with children born in Saudi Arabia. And I engaged the Saudi Arabian government, and they said that because of the issue of child trafficking, they cannot just allow a mother to just take a child and say, this is my child, and come home. Because they realize very quickly, a girl is coming home, another girl says, chukua huyu mtoto pelekea mama yangu. And the child never reaches, or it becomes like child trafficking program. Therefore, we agreed, and they have instituted a DNA system. So the mother undergoes a DNA with the child, and there's verification that this is actually your child. And then a permit is given for you to travel with that child and leave the country. Basically, they are protecting so that a mother doesn't wake up and say, my child is missing. And you look for that child, unakuta aliingia ndege na Mkenya ama Muganda ama another person from an African country, Nigeria, Tanzania, anywhere, na ameenda. And walisema na mtoto wao. So it's also protecting our children who are born in those countries, so that the mother knows that my child, hata akipatikana kwa barabara, hata toroshwa, apelekwe nchi ingine akauzwe huko, because a DNA will need to be done. So we worked on that, and now we have safe houses that are continuing being set up, so that when a mother is in distress, a child is in distress, there's a safe house where you can actually go and say, that is my child. So there's an organized system to protect them. Finally, I'd like to say that, Madam Speaker, with your permission, I believe that the documents are already on your table that Senator Cherangai was asking about, that saying that we are not tabled. I think they have been found within the system over here. I submit. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator.
Madam Speaker, if I can answer that question that I overheard, is that...
he wants to know how many children have come back.
I will... yes, as I said, that is the forte of the State Department for Diaspora which is under Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, because they are being processed overseas, and they're the ones with the records from the Ministry of Migration, Overseas and Foreign Affairs, so they'll be in a better place to be able to answer that question. Thank you.
Senator Onyonka, no, you can't, no. Was it a point of order or what? On what?
Been provided.
Senator Onyonka, I don't know how you would have a point of order on a list that we've not even discussed. Please, let's move on.
Madam Chair, the list has been tabled. Madam Chair, the list has been given, and that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And the list doesn't have individuals, and it just has numbers, Madam. There is no information on this thing.
Senator Cherarke, do you want to just speak to the list quickly?
Madam Speaker, you know, when you table documents, you know, the Senate has the jurisdiction of High Court, as you are a senior counsel in this republic. The CS had said in answer that he had attached the list, but what he has done, he has given us numbers. We don't know who these are. He has died in this country, so can we get a detailed list of what my question required, Madam Speaker, and I'll be grateful. I thank you.
CS, we expect that you will submit the list as was expected in the question. So kindly ensure that that happens. Please confirm that you will do that. Okay. We are requesting that the list be provided in the proper format. A list is not just numbers. So we are requesting that that happens within the next 2 days. Should be submitted. Can we now move on to the CS's next question by Senator Wakoli? Yeah. Senator Halwale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as you'll notice on your list there are a lot of interventions for people who want to ask further supplementary questions. Secondly, you have seen so far the answers provided are not adequate. I plead that you consider stepping the question down so that the minister can be given another opportunity to respond to these things. We have very serious matters on these bilateral agreements. Madam Speaker, Kenyans remember that African tribal chiefs allowed slave trade to thrive, and the reason was the people who are coming for our people wanted labor that was free. This time, they are looking for cheap labor. We want to interrogate these things, Madam Speaker.
Senator Halwale, you are prosecuting your point as you are speaking about procedure. There is nothing wrong with the procedure that we have. As Speaker, we manage the time. We have another question, and we have another CS in the waiting room with 8 questions. I beg that we consider that we need to do this. We cannot step down the question and assume that we just continue because of this question. But the next question is actually to the same CS. So you get opportunity in your supplementary to also prosecute the cases you wanted to prosecute, for those who will get the chance. Senator Wakoli, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have a few questions to put across. One, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on the payment of terminal dues to all former employees of the Pan-African Paper Mills Company Limited in Webuye, who are in employment at the time the company was placed under receivership in March 2009. Can I proceed with the other questions, Honorable Speaker, or one at a time?
The questions as you had sent to the
Number
Cabinet
2,
Secretary, please.
Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the reasons for the delay in payment as well as the projected timelines for the same? And 3, what is the government doing to expedite payment of terminal benefits of the former staff? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
CS,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Senator David Wakoli, for your question. My response is as follows. The termination of employment contracts of employees on account of redundancy of this pen paper company happened on 6th of April 2009, during the time the company was under receivership. In 2016, the ownership of the company changed when it was acquired by the Rai Group. Upon reopening of the company, many of the employees who served under the previous management were hired by the new management to work in various capacities, and which included the locals, and where for both outsource and co-establishment got to a total of 479 employees. All the workers were terminated on account of redundancy by the receiver with effect from 6th of April 2009. They received payment as provided under Section 311 of the Companies Act 2009 Cap 486, and which constituted full payment of the preferential element of the claims against the company for any arrears of pay, holiday pay, or notice pay. For more information, there is an annexure that we have attached, dated 6th of April 2009, paragraph 2 and 3. The State Department of Industry in 2021, using documents from the receiver manager, which is PricewaterhouseCoopers company, was able to recommend payment of 229 plus million as terminal benefits to former employees of Pan African Paper Mills Company Limited, and that is also annexure 2. And also you can see there's attached a letter from the ministry in charge of trade. And so that's the first question. On the second question, whether the delay on payments, why have they been there, and the reason is as follows. The State Department for Industry, which was directed to pay, made a request for funds to the National Treasury in May 2021 and October 2023. In November 2023, just a year ago, the National Treasury requested the State Department for Industry to prioritize these funds in this new financial year and the next financial year in the sector working groups. However, due to the budget ceilings at the sector working group for financial year 2024-2025, the amount to be paid to the former employees could not be covered. That is also covered in Annex 3 of the documents provided to us to give to you. And that is where there's been a delay. So we're expecting that they'll be covered in the future, and maybe the Ministry of Trade can clarify further. The question number 3 was, what is the government doing to expedite payment of terminal benefits to the former staff? And the response is that the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, through the State Department of Industry, communicated to the National Treasury in December 2023, appealing for additional funds to enable them pay dues to former staff. And I want to say that, Senator Wakoli, this is a very good question, timely, because as a result of this question, this issue is now alive, and we've been able to talk to the Department of Trade, and so the file has moved up, and I believe they're working on it. They're working on it, and they're working with Treasury, so it has come up, so it is not forgotten. I submit, Madam Senator.
Senator Wakoli, you have 2 more supplementary questions. Do you want to ask them now, or do you want to give an opportunity to other members first? Or do you want to ask one now and one later?
But Chair, I can give members an opportunity to ask.
Is Senator Murango there? Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is related to question number 51, which the CS was addressing earlier. And the CS had told us that one of the roles of the ministry through the National Employment Authority is to facilitate employment and placement of job seekers internationally. In the spirit of promoting equity and fairness, can the CS clearly tell this House and the country these jobs the government, through His Excellency the President, the government is pursuing, whether they are being applied for, either through the government or through the agency, and the procedures to be applied, because the word out there is that some jobs are being gotten directly from the government and others through the agency. Can the CS clear that, please? Thank you.
Answering supplementaries in respect of this other question. I can see members had many questions on the earlier one. So I'll allow a quick response to that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just very quickly, and it's also good for the country to know that the system works this way. There are jobs in many countries, but our people cannot work in those countries because we don't have bilateral labor agreement that Kenyans can work in those countries unless they are employed by a company and they go through a process. So the reason we sign BLAs, bilateral labor agreements, is for them to be able to say, okay, out of the jobs that we want people to come and get visas for, we are going to allow Kenyans to be part of that list. So if the jobs are 100,000, so you know Kenyans can compete within those 100,000, others will go to other countries, but now the door has been opened for Kenyans because the door is closed in many places where we can't go because there's no agreement between the countries. Then the jobs are sourced two ways. The main way is that governments in those countries are not the ones employing, it is companies. Companies work with agencies. So a company there will decide, I want to get so many skilled nurses to come and work for my hospital. They normally look for an employment agency there that now comes to source them in Kenya. Or they write to an agency in Kenya and ask them whether the jobs can be, where they can get those jobs. And they get what are called demand. They are called demand letters. We say, we've got 500 nursing opportunities, and it's given to this company. And then the company says to NEA, to us, that we've received this order. That's number one. So normally you let the employment agencies do their work. They're the ones who know how to do the interviewing processes, the identification, the follow-up with the police for documents. That's their work. It's not the job of the government to handhold people. Number two, they are what are called government-to-government job, where the government says, as a government, we want to employ for a government institute Kenyans, and we ask the government to seek. So the Ministry of Labor now runs advertisements and welcomes those who are employing the government agency in that country to come here, and we provide for them, the Kenyans, to be interviewed by them. So that becomes a government-to-government job placement. But those are few and in between. Majority prefer to go through agencies because that's a style that is used all over the world. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kio.
Give me the mic. Thank you. So, Madam Speaker, before I ask my supplementary, then I would seek your guidance on how to proceed, because
it's on the earlier one.
Yes, mine is on the earlier one.
Honorable Senators, I'll allow one question since it's the same CS, and that seems to be, most of the members' questions seem to be around that.
Right.
One short question.
Thank you. I will try to make it short. So, Bwana CS, thanks for coming, and thanks for your responses to the questions by members. Through you, Madam Speaker, I want to make reference to the response that the CS gave us when we asked about the real numbers and the real people that have benefited from these jobs. Madam Speaker, the caliber of people that are getting these jobs, especially to the Middle East, and I know, Madam Speaker, you must have been at the airport at some point, you see the traffic of young people, going to the Middle East for these jobs. They're the kind of people that you would refer to the internet to find out what is required and expected of them. I'm just wondering whether there is no policy document, a government policy document regulating the placement of our young people in jobs outside the country, whether they go there privately or through government arrangements. Isn't there a policy document? In the same manner that a private school in Kenya will be regulated by the same policy that regulates public schools in Kenya. Is there a policy document that regulates the work environment for our people outside this country? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS?
Madam Speaker, job migration has been occurring in our countries from the days of the JF Kennedy airlifts. And Kenyans are free to wake up today, go to internet, and see there's an aeronautical job for an engineer at NASA and apply while they're in Kenya. And they are interviewed and they get the job and they're able to leave and go outside the country to work. Normally, we ask Kenyans to let us know when they go overseas, they go as diaspora. Some go to work, others go as students, finish studying, and they work. We cannot start telling Kenyans that you have to tell us exactly where you're going every time you go to the airport and demanding invasion of their rights. Well, that is true, though. I think that, and I agree with a good senator from Kitui, that it is important to have a good policy. And this policy has to be anchored in law. Currently, we have a labor migration bill that is alive, and it is in the last stages. And within the bill, there are regulations and directions of how we need to handle people going overseas to work. The sourcing of the jobs, the creation of a data bank so that we know as they go overseas and everything that is being done. I have gone a step further with the National Employment Agency. We are now requiring that any Kenyan hired through our agencies, and which are the majority, that those Kenyans have to get a letter from my ministry which clears them. And the letter says, we have looked at everything, the documents are okay, and we have looked at this agency, this is okay, and we have created a letter. And that letter, we are now tying in our networks. I'm trying to find the right word. We are using our system, and we are matching it with the immigration system, so that as you leave the country, once we give you that letter, we ensure that your details are captured in the immigration system. So as you leave the country, when you present your passport and they scan it, immediately it comes up there to show that this person is actually going away for employment. So that we know, because some get the demand, they get the letters and they don't leave the country, they change their minds. They get better jobs in the country, or they decide otherwise, so that we'll know exactly who is leaving the country, their full names and where they are going, because the ticket details will be right there, so that we capture it, so we don't have to follow up. And then that information is given to diaspora, so even as they arrive to a particular country, the embassies know we have the following person coming to this country and coming to this city to work here, because we are interlinking the systems. And so that is a process that we'll be announcing tomorrow as part of the reforms that we're undertaking.
Honorable Senators, sorry to disappoint you. We have to move on back to the questioner to ask the supplementary questions, because the next CS has to come in. Senator Wafula, please.
Honorable Speaker, I think people are misbehaving in the House, Honorable Speaker. We are not in an auction ring, Honorable Speaker. Chwele especially. I want to ask my good sister to say something. I've delegated one of my supplementary questions to, and the Honorable Speaker has no option. Senator.
Honorable Wafula,
yes.
You ask your questions or you sit down if you're done.
Now I'm
Thank you very
asking.
much. I've disallowed the delegation.
Honorable Speaker, maybe my question to my good CS. Probably through your indulgence, since this matter has taken a long time, I will recommend that we can organize through your office and the State Department for Industry, the one in charge, to have a clear roadmap on how we can clearly handle this matter and set these people free. Thank you.
CS?
Thank you very much, and I do agree with the Honorable Senator David Wakoli. It's important, and I want to give my undertaking that as soon as I get back to the office, I will write a letter to the Minister in charge of Trade and Investment, and we'll make a copy available to you for follow-up, urging that we put together a team to fast-track and be able to monitor these issues. Otherwise, they can fall on the side. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, CS Labor and Social Services, for staying with us long in this session. I'd like the CS can now be escorted out, and you can invite the CS for Roads and Transport to come in. Thank you. This minister there is what? Honorable Senators, the Honorable CS for Roads and Transport has come in, so we will move on to the next session. And the first question is by Senator Mofaya. Question 62.
I have the question, Madam Speaker. That is question number 62, whereby I'm seeking from the Cabinet Secretary to know the status update of the payment of compensation to owners of the parcels of land acquired for construction of the St. Mary Kinoro Yanchuku Bogor Road in Tharaka Nithi County. Why has there been a delay in compensating some of the landowners, and could the Cabinet Secretary state when the affected landowners will be paid? What measures has the ministry put in place to guarantee timely compensation of individuals affected by road construction projects in the future? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sorry, CS?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. Happy to be here this morning, or this afternoon, still morning, to continue providing responses to the various questions. Honorable Chair, I appear before Senate this morning to respond to 7 questions. And I would like to request, even as I respond to the specific question by Senator Mwenda, to give a background on an overarching challenge which will kind of touch on all the 7 questions, and then I will specifically respond to the question by Mofaya, Senator. Honorable Speaker, I know that all the 7 questions for which we have prepared responses today relate to roads and touch on finances for roads. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I would request to share important...
Just hold on, the technical team, what's happening with the mic? Is it okay?
Thank you. So, Honorable Speaker, I would wish to request to share important cross-cutting information affecting the road subsector. The information will likely be useful during follow-up discussion and questions, which may, again, we seem to...
Technical team, what's happening? Why do we have an echo?
Let's try again. Maybe are we okay now?
A technical team, are you doing something about this? Are we okay now? Proceed, CS.
So, Honorable Speaker, sorry about that. I was saying I would like to request to really share some
The echo is still there. Sergeant at Arms, please. Can we do? CS, can you just retreat for 3 minutes so that we just get them to organize this?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker and members. I was basically giving a background on Speaker, the background information that I was requesting to share. It looks like we are not getting over it. Maybe.
If you pull it and hold it in your hands, might it help? CS, please take your seat. We'll try and sort it out. CS, you can resume.
Thank you for, and sorry about that. So, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, I was basically saying that I would like to request to share some important cross-cutting information affecting the road subsector. The information will likely be useful during follow-up discussions which may arise after the substantive answers given to each road-related question. The information I'm going to share, Honorable Chair, broadly is categorized in two parts, namely road maintenance and road development. Allow me, Chair, honorable members, to start with road maintenance. The total value of public roads assets countrywide has been established by the Road Subsector Investment Program 2023.
Honorable Senator, Honorable CS, just procedurally, are you responding to all the questions, or do you want to respond to the question of the senator that has asked the question? Because the standing orders require that you respond to the questions that have been asked. So I appreciate what you're speaking about in terms of the general terms, but you want to make reference to say if you want to respond to issues in this, the other question. I think it will be good to have those senators here so that we make reference to that. But the standing orders require that you respond to each question as asked by the senator. Yes, Senator Kenywa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I raised because I had heard, like the CS said, he was laying foundation so that he can answer the question, and I was following. So I wanted maybe if we can get the generally, because all questions are related, what I heard him say.
Senator Kenywa, you will let the Speaker guide on this session. So procedurally, the standing orders require that the CS will respond to each question as raised by each senator. I am asking the CS to, because he started generally, to indicate whether his general remarks are intended to provide a cross-cutting response or to questions this, that, and the other. And hopefully we have all the senators who are asking their questions in the House. I just asked that, and I would like you to allow the CS to respond, please.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll respond to all the questions specifically as they are put before the House this morning. So I'll be responding to each question specifically. I was giving background cross-cutting information so that I may not have to repeat every time for all the questions.
So what we are getting is that on broad information, the CS is responding by first giving the general information that will inform all questions. So I will allow that. And then you will move on to the specific question by Senator Moffat.
Thank you, Chair. So as basically putting the fundamentals that the total value of the public road asset countrywide has been established by the Road Sector Investment Program 2023-2027 to be at 4 trillion Kenya shillings today, making it one of the biggest public investments in Kenya. This massive investment, Chair, honorable members, in the road sector asset, which has been built up painstakingly over the years, has been diligently maintained, protected, and preserved to ensure it preserves the citizens well, or it serves the citizens well while achieving maximum service life, return on investment, and value for money. The Road Maintenance Levy Fund was established in 1993 to provide sustainable resource for the required road maintenance and has since been adjusted from time to time in accordance with needs. The last adjustment was in 2016, the year 2016, 8 years ago, when the fuel levy was set at 18 shillings per litre. However, by 2024, an unsustainably large financing gap had emerged between the cost of essential road maintenance and the resource collected from the levy, from the 18 shillings levy. By way of example, Honorable Chair members, from the 2024-25 financial year, the cost of essential road maintenance activities for national roads is Kenya shillings 157 billion. That is what we need annually. However, the anticipated fuel levy collection for the same financial year was only 79 billion, leaving a deficit of 78 billion Kenya shillings. The causes and drivers of this maintenance fund cap are grouped for convenience into three categories, namely changes in the road network in terms of length, macroeconomics factors, maintenance needs of the road network. Allow me to briefly describe each of the causes in a little more detail. The contributions to the financing gap which are related to the changes in the road network include increase in the total road network length from 161,000 kilometers in 2016 to about 239,000 in 2024. Growth in the length of paved road network by 47% between 2016 and 24, with 25,000 kilometers paved as of 2024. An aging road network, the existence of a large backlog in road maintenance, including on-carer paved roads which have lacked earmarked maintenance funding and are therefore referred, as you have heard many times, as orphaned roads. Increased urbanization and the need for more maintenance in the urban environment, increased traffic growth, and the climate change that we have all witnessed in the various El Ninos and droughts. The contributors to the financing gap, which are related to macroeconomics factors, include stagnation of the road maintenance levy, like I've mentioned, at 18 shillings for the last 8 years, decline of road maintenance levy due to real-time value or due to inflation, and we don't have the inflationary build-up, rising cost of road works over the time due to inflation. The contributor to the financing gap, Honorable Members, Chair, which is related to the maintenance need of the road network, includes anticipated adverse trends in the roughness indices for the road network if the available resources for maintenance do not increase. Roughness index, Chair, members, is a technical term used internationally within the road sector and is a well-known measure of road condition. Honorable Speaker, because of the above-mentioned funding gap in road maintenance, my ministry has not been able to perform all the required maintenance. Indeed, in the financial year just ended, the road agencies for the first time ever were forced to suspend award of a number of already tendered maintenance activities due to lack of budget. Following from the above situation, a proposal for review of the road maintenance levy by 7 shillings from 18 to 25 litres was formulated several months ago to partially fill the maintenance gap. On Monday, 8th July 2024, public participation was held countrywide to discuss the proposal for review of the fuel levy, and from the views received, two themes stood out. Firstly, many Kenyans were worried that an increase in the levy might result in a rise in the cost of living. Secondly, most Kenyans expected and indeed require that the significant gains made in the condition and extent of the road network at great cost to Kenyans should not be allowed to fall into a state of disrepair and dilapidation for want of timely maintenance and resources. Honorable Speaker, this feedback from public participation was received more so in the context of recent events. The ministry was able to revert and consult intensively and subsequently came up with a way forward that closely reflected the will and well-being of the people, including their wish to be served by a properly functioning road network without increasing pump price for fuel and driving up the cost of living. Honorable Speaker, I would not be exaggerating to say that the recent adjustment in the fuel levy rates was a critical, vital, and urgent step without which the heavy investment of recent years in building new roads would ultimately prove to be largely in vain. As part of the drive to secure adequate road maintenance resources and direct them towards where they are most needed, the Ministry, through the appropriate channels and procedures, will be proposing consideration of a legislative adjustment so that a certain portion of the fuel levy, which is earmarked for rural roads, can be ring-fenced and directly prioritized by KERA for maintenance and maintenance of paved and other connector rural roads. We believe, honorable members, that the proposed refinement to the management of road maintenance fund for rural roads should it find favor and approval through the relevant procedures will be the key to a material improvement in the maintenance of particularly paved rural roads. That was on the maintenance. On the development, Honorable Chair, honorable members, allow me to turn to, in March this year, this distinguished House was appraised by my predecessor about the situation at the time with regard to the development vote. It was reported that the pending bills on various projects as at 31st December 2023 was at 162 billion Kenya shillings. The updated pending bills as of June 30th, 2024 stood at 165 billion Kenya shillings. The consequences of the road project funding gap, which have been well noted by members of this House who are very well informed on the status of road projects in their respective regions. Most projects funded under the development vote are progressing much slower than they ought to be and have significant payment arrears which have built up from the year 2020 or even earlier. And while the now nullified Finance Bill 2024 had put in place substantive measures to begin to remedy the situation, we are fully cognizant of the new realities and are working closely with the National Treasury to ensure that impactful budgetary allocations are retained going forward. The main challenge, honorable members, Chair, with roads development is budget inadequacy. The average net GOK development budget ceiling in recent years averaged 55 billion Kenya shillings. As of 30th June 2024, the outstanding commitments on contracted road projects amounted to approximately 700 billion, including an outstanding bill portfolio, like I've mentioned, in pending bills of 165 billion. Therefore, with the current average net GOK annual budget ceiling allocation of 55 billion, the committed road projects would take approximately 15 years to complete. The low annual net GOK ceiling of 55 billion, honorable members, also results in thin spread of budgetary allocation to projects, which results in various negative consequences. With that background, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to go through that background, I now wish to turn to the question raised by Honorable Senator for Tharaka Nithi, Mwenda Kadhaya Mofaya. Honorable Speaker, Gataya.
Mofaya.
Thank you for that clarification.
Proceed,
Chair. Let me beg to respond. The total award for the compensation of the owners of the parcels of land acquired for construction of this particular road, St. Mary's, Kinoro, Kianjuku, Mbogori Road, was 115 million Kenya shillings, 115 to be more specific, 662,835. The Kenya Rural Road Authority, KERA, received 28,999,599 from the National Treasury and dispersed the money to the National Land Commission on 12th October 2023, and we should, Speaker, that amount the 28.9 million received for this specific road project was paid out on a priority basis starting from kilometer 0, where the road starts, which explains why some landowners have not been compensated while others have. However, the remaining balance of 86.6 million will be paid to the remaining landowners as soon as the funds are received from the National Treasury. Cognizance of my background statement, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, will work closely with the National Treasury to ensure that budgetary provision and cash flow releases for the budget already, the budget ceiling already provided, as soon as provided, we should be able to continue the compensation. The Ministry will coordinate closely, like I've just said, with the National Land Commission to submit timely data of project-affected person to the National Treasury to enable the planning of budgeted amounts for that compensation. Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, thank you.
Is there a senator who has a specific follow-up question on the specific questions asked by Senator Mofire? If not, I would request that Senator Mofire, you ask your supplementary questions to your question.
You know, I have listened to the background, which has been prosecuted by the CS. And that background has been with us for quite some time. And I think, Madam Speaker, you know, that when funds will be available, it's a very common phrase in government circles. Madam Speaker, those people have waited for decades. So people lost their land. You know, there have been promises over promises that money will be available at this particular time. But those people, Madam Speaker, are running out of patience. And I think the CS should state categorically when these people are likely to get their dues. Because, Madam Speaker, they have matched to the relevant departments, the relevant ministries, and the answer is they will be paid when the money will be available. That is an answer, Honorable Madam Speaker, that is not bankable. And I cannot go back to the people and tell them that money will be being paid when money will be available. So I don't know what measures is the CS taking to make sure that those people are compensated. You know, those are poor people, Madam Speaker. They are people who have lost their land. They are just commoners in the village. And they have been waiting for that money for the last almost 10 years or so. So I think it's important that the CS comes out clearly and assures this House there is any measure which is supposed to be put in place to expedite this process, that these people get their dues as required.
CS?
Thank you for the supplementary question. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, I take note of Senator Mwenda's supplementary question and wish to confirm, Honorable Chair, that we will pay attention and provide priority to the ongoing projects. Very importantly, when there is a budget ceiling and a budget which we do work together between the National Treasury, Parliament, and the Ministry. And having given the background of the 2024-25 finance bill, which did provide for a lot of these budgetary requirements, Honorable Chair, I want to confirm that we'll closely pay attention, particularly to the compensation to the project-affected persons. I did give the background on the 7 shillings road maintenance levy additional funds, which we are working on a framework of ensuring that we deploy that prudently to be able to address some of these challenges, and particularly the project-affected persons, because even if we were to put it to start the construction of the road and the project-affected persons on the corridor have not been compensated, it is all in vain. So let me confirm, Chair, that I'll pay attention to the ongoing projects, particularly compensation of the project affected persons as we work through the additional road maintenance levy. We are working on a framework of securitization and seeing whether, like I said during my confirmation here, whether we can get a bullet payment and sort out all the outstanding pending bills. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Senator Mofaya?
Seriously, I hope now that he's trying to run the ropes in the ministry, then I'm going to take his one seriously. Maybe in the next 3 months or so, I think I'm going to remind him. Actually, I will be visiting in office soon to make sure that those people are compensated, because it's a matter that has been in this out for almost 2 years now, right? And those people have been waiting, trying to see when their money is likely to be paid. So, Madam Speaker, the CS will be reminding you now and then to make sure that those people get their money. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence and advice, because looking at the questions that are being asked, they are somehow related. So instead of asking supplementary question on each question, maybe if you allow those who are listed here to ask all the questions, then later on we can come in with supplementary questions. Because I can see what Senator Gatai has asked is almost the same thing Senator Boni Kalwale will ask. So that we can have supplementary questions that are somehow combined.
Well, thank you, Senator Thangwa. I think what I had thought, that's why I said we will only allow you to ask if you have one on that specific issue. But what I'd like us to do is go through the questions, and then we will allow the rest of the members to ask the questions they have to the CS. So, Senator Khalwale. DS.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your guidance. But specifically, I have an issue on this particular road because it traverses Meru County.
Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is still on this same road. This section now, which is St. Mary's Kinoro, is in Meru County. And I am aware about the compensations. They have not been done. But more importantly, Mr. CS, Honorable CS, is the state of that road. Because in Meru County, we are losing a lot of resource. Because Mr. CS, like this Kinoro, St. Mary's Kinoro Road is a paved road, but very dilapidated. There is no maintenance on that road. There's a lot of potholes, lack of drainage on that section. So we are losing another very important resource from Chogoria, which is traversing almost 6 constituencies from Chogoria, which passes through Mara constituency, South Imenti, Central Imenti, up to North Imenti. This is Chogoria, Marimba, Meru Town Road. Problem, Madam Speaker. Don't cut me short, Madam Speaker. This is very important, and it is right in my heart, Madam Speaker. So I'm kindly requesting whether maybe as you look for resources, whether you can be able to allocate some resources, which I've really conversed even with the ministry, the carer, and all these people. They are aware of that problem. Mr. CS, some of us even getting to our homes is a problem because the county governments are not working for us. So even drones reading to our villages, even to my house. I want to declare that 2 weeks ago, I paid some people, iron and grinder, to do my road. As a senator for Meru, I was doing it when I was a member of parliament. But people in the village are crying, why you are very senior as a senator, you can't do the road nowadays. So I was forced to hire a grinder to do that particular road to my house. And this is in Lekon because I've canvassed this in all the offices. They are aware of the problems you have in that county. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS, I suggest you note that question. Senator Khalwale, are you ready?
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I rise to ask question number 65 on the order paper, that A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a list of landowners who granted way leave for the upgrading to bitumen standard of the Shikalagala-Butere Road and indicate the respective amounts due as compensation to each? B, why has the government not yet paid out compensation to the said individuals years after the project was completed, and could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the timelines for the same?
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me go straight to the responses of those two questions. I wish, Chair, Honorable Members, to state that a total of 326 landowners were listed for acquisition under the Gazette notice I've listed in the response number 10918 of 22nd December 2020 for the project of upgrading the Sigalagala Musoli Sabatia Butere Road to bitumen standard. The notice detailed the individual identified persons or affected persons by the project and the indicative acreage size for acquisition, a copy of the Gazette notice which we attached in the response. The National Land Commission, Honorable Chair, which is mandated to determine individual entitlements in respect of land acquisition, is yet to issue the schedule of awards for this project. But Honorable Chair, the time lapse is big. Allow me to go back and find out why the National Land Commission has not responded to date and then be able to follow up because December 2020 from the time we gazetted to date is really a long time. On the second question, as a ministry, we empathize with the project affected persons following the inordinate delay in processing their compensation. Delay is due to the extended duration required to process the matter in consultation with NLC. Honorable Chair, the Ministry through KERA has been in constant communication with NLC on this matter. This began with the gazettement of the affected parcel via the Gazette notice of 7 July 2017, number 6472, followed by a Gazette notice number 10918, which I did mention on the first question of 22nd December 2020, which published the corrections to the first notice and indicated dates for conducting inquiries by NLC. The Ministry facilitated these processes in full and was thus awaiting issuance of award letters to the project affected persons. And the award schedule to KERA detailing compensation amounts informed of fund for the percent reminder to the Commission via letter of 27th November, again the reference 2023, and another letter of 15 April 2024, again the reference is there and it is annexed. The National Land Commission, Honorable Members, Chair, wrote to the Ministry on the subject in its correspondence via letter of 21st September, referenced Annex 3, and regretted a decision by the Commission to recommend degazettement or regazettement of the project due to the non-completion of the acquisition process within 24 months. A letter we have already appealed. The Ministry appealed to the Commission via a letter of 26th April 24 to reconsider the decision to degazette the project and proceed to issue awards for the parcels cleared for payment as per the post-inquiry report, while the remainder of the parcels are duly processed in line with the recommendations of the report. This appeal, Honorable Chair, is in light of the distress caused by the project affected persons by the extended delay in processing their compensation. The consideration, time and public resource already spent, and the desire to finalize this process. Further, it is worth considering the cooperation extended by the PAPs, the project affected persons, in allowing the full completion of the road project by 2021, much ahead of the processing of their dues. So far, we are engaging with the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development to intervene and facilitate the fast tracking of the...
Yes, just hold on. Honorable members, please listen in silence. If you must consult, don't do it in loud tones, please.
Upon issuance, Honorable Chair, of the awards, the Ministry shall prioritize the settlement of this compensation at the first available opportunity, subject to the availability of the funds. I wish to confirm that, Honorable Chair, we have now received the award from NLC, totaling 50 million Kenya shillings, and we'll work very quickly and very closely with the Treasury on the budget line and start the compensation process in line with the due procedure of how to compensate. But because of that appeal, NLC has come back. They have now cleared 50 million, and I want to confirm that it's just a budgetary process and a payment process, and we'll work closely with NLC to clear this concern on this particular road. Thank you.
Senator Khalwale, do you have any supplementary question?
Madam Speaker, this question does not warrant a supplementary question, but I just would like to prick the CS. CS, the people you are talking about are not many. They are limited to only Shitori sublocation, Mukomari sublocation, Shitochi sublocation, Shivakala sublocation, and Shibuname sublocation. And Minister, I'm pricking you by telling you that the better agenda of the current government, you and I and others developed it. You and I, we are the founder members of the United Democratic Alliance. We had a vision of sorting out such small things. Now these people are dying one by one, including a distinguished politician called Malama Itolondo, now dead. A distinguished public servant, Sakaria Bakalash Mechero, dead. A distinguished businessman, Elijah Shitoka, dead, and many others. Please, bears, kindly use this opportunity to invite me to your office on a specific date, whether it is weeks or months. I come, you sort me out, Kenyans to feel part of the welfare of this nation.
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. After this session, I will sort out a date for a cup of tea with Senator, and it's just ask for a date, and I'll do that sometimes next week. Thank you.
That is okay. Can we move on to the question by Senator Morango? You have 3 questions. So you ask each, it is answered, and then you move on.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My first question is, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on all ongoing projects by the national government for the upgrade of roads in Kirinyaga County to bitumen standard? That is question number 66A. The same question B, why has there been a delay in the upgrade of Kimbembe Kanjiji to Konye PI Road, Kagumo Kiamaina Kaduduma Road, and PI Jokene Kiamotogo Karumande Kiamesere Road, popularly known as Mosibi Wageshogo, to bitumen standard, despite their importance in enhancing the economic potential of the region? That's my first question, Madam Speaker.
CS.
Honorable Chair, thank you for the question from the Senator, Kirinyaga Senator, Honorable James Murango. Let me go straight to the response. The following, the 2 projects are being implemented by the agency in the ministry are annexed in my response. And the ministry is aware of the economic significance of the 2 roads projects. However, the delay in completion is due to the pending payments or to the respective contractors stipulated in my response. Let me deal with the first Muthiri, Kagoi, Baricho, Gedhuya segment of that road, where we have a pending bill of 107, almost 108 million Kenya shillings, and where the status of the road is 64% completed today. I did check, and I should have provided in this response that there is a budgetary allocation from the current printed estimates of 67 million, and that will help us to expedite and work this road towards completion. If we can get the contractor back to site on account of payment of that 67 billion. And because it is 64%, which is significantly work done, we'll ensure that with the budget ceiling in the printed estimate of 67.162 million, we will endeavor to ensure that we do provide the outstanding funds so that this road can be completed. But more importantly, Chair, with my background information, I did indicate that we are trying to do a bullet payment on a process we are working to raise funds to pay for all the pending bills so that not only this road can, the contractors can go back to work, but we can get contractors on all roads in our counties to go back to work. On the second PI Mbiri Ngiriambu Road, this is one where Kirinyaga is among us the 15 roads which have been now fully funded through the China Africa Development Bank in the just concluded visit by His Excellency the President to China or Beijing during FOCAC summit. And then therefore, Honorable Chair Mheshimiwa, this road is now fully funded and we'll see works progressing without any further undue delay because this road is among us the 15 roads which have been taken up by China Development Fund, and it will not rely on our treasury allocation. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Morango, do you want to go to the next question? Or you have a supplementary? Okay.
Asante sana Mr. Speaker. Nataka kuuliza waziri kama bajeti iliyoko ambayo amesema tayari kuna mgao wa kuweza kumaliza hizi barabara, kwamba hizi barabara namuuliza kama ndio katika ile bajeti ambayo iko ya bilioni 17 hizi barabara zimewekwa katika orodha ambazo zitakuwa zikilipiwa ili ziweze kuendelea. Hiyo ndio swali langu la ziada, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Morango, you will determine whether you want to ask your questions in English or in Kiswahili. That's a supplementary question. Yes, that is the rule of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's not a problem. I was just wanting to ask the CS whether these loans are covered in the 7 billion budget which is there for the loans, so that I can tell the people of Kirinyaga that this road will continue and they will be complete. And thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS.
Honorable Chair, I did indicate that on the Muthiri Kagio Baricho Road, there is a budget ceiling in the printed estimate of 67.1, or 67,162,149 in the printed estimate, and therefore we can seek to get the contractor back to work on account of that pending bill of 107. But I did say, Chair, because the road is 64% done, it's in the significant stage of finishing, and therefore we'll work with the contractor and the ministry. I've got my PS and the CEOs, the DGs for the various agencies to ensure that some of these roads that are already 50% and above are given priority. On one, Piambiri Road, I did say it is fully funded, and therefore the contractor will go to site on that road. I know it's 11% completed, but there is full funding on that road now, having been taken by China Development Bank with a full funding of about 2 billion. Do I have the specific number somewhere? So that road is fully funded, and therefore the contractor's take all will go back to site, and the road will not stop until completed, because funds are fully provided for through that facility. Thank you.
Senator Morango, you want to go to the next question?
Yes, Madam Speaker. My next and final question is, are there plans by the government to upgrade Uhuru airstrip in Mwea constituency, Kenyatta County, for use by, among others, horticulture and miraa farmers to transport their produce? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary state whether an allocation for the purpose has been made in the 2024-2025 financial year budget? B, could the Cabinet Secretary outline the policy measures implemented by the government to develop air transport in the country, and particularly in Kenyatta County? And C, what steps has the minister taken to construct airstrips in the counties where there are none? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS?
Honorable Chair, Wanguru Thiba Airstrip is a code C aerodrome capable of handling aircrafts with passenger capacity of 13 and has 2 runways. We'll recall that this is the airstrip that was used during the national celebrations last year. 2 runways, 12/30 and 07/25, measuring 790 by 18 meters and 670 by 18 meters, respectively. The airstrip, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, has an area of approximately 21.4 acres and is registered as parcel number Mwea Tebere B/139. Honorable Members, albeit that this facility is not within the management of Kenya Airports Authority, its upgrade to accommodate commercial flight has been planned in 3 phases, as highlighted in my response. With the first phase,
Senator Gerard K, please. Let's.
With the first phase having been completed by the authority at a cost of 49.9 million rather, it commenced on 27th September 2021 and was completed on 16 December 2021. The works involved topsoil stripping, earthworks involving runway excavation, drainage works, and all the works including cutting of tall trees, relocation of overhead Kenya power lines on the final approach of the runway, and preliminary items for mobilization. That phase has been completed at a cost of 49.9 million. The second phase, which is proposed and will use high capacity cements for the 2.5 N or provision and placement of the 5mm asphalt concrete type 1 on the runway and all the associated work, including drainage work, construction of line drainage using invert block drainage with side slabs or stone pitching on the sides. And the phase 3, Honorable Chair, members, which is again involve acquisition, prawn taxiway, car park, terminal building, and offices. It will circulation. The upgrading and rehabilitation works of this facility.
Order Senator Cherarki and Professor Ugenda. Please have some respect for the speakers.
The upgrading and rehabilitation works, Chair, of this facility will really also be dependent on the allocation of funds, but because we've already started the works, we'll pay attention as a ministry, give priority to make sure that when the limited resources are being shared out, we do allocation to make sure we complete that work. On the next question on air transport is a vital component of our national infrastructure, significantly contributing to economic development. Other county, just like other counties, seek to enhance its economic prospects and improve accessibility, understanding, and the government's strategic plans and policies for air transport development is essential. The ministry, through its implementing agency, Kenya Airports Authority, is currently developing a policy on development, rehabilitation, and maintenance of airstrips that will provide a framework for preventive maintenance, corrective maintenance, and reconstruction works, including allocation of financial and human resource and technological applications in maintenance and repair activities. In addition, Honorable Chair, it will also guide the respective coordination roles and responsibilities of the appropriate functional areas. On the issue of what the steps the ministry is taking to construct airstrips in all the counties in transport, and more specifically the State Department of Transport, has undertaken several initiatives to construct and upgrade airstrips in various counties. This is part of a broader effort to enhance connectivity, like I mentioned earlier, promote economic growth, and improve access to emergency services. One of the key steps include the allocation of substantial funds for airstrip development. For instance, the ministry is investing some 785 million shillings to upgrade 7 specific airstrips, namely Migori airstrip in Migori, Lanet airstrip in Nakuru, Kitale airstrip in Trans Nzoia, Angama airstrip in Narok County, Isiolo airstrip in Isiolo County, Kambunde airstrip in Homa Bay, Malindi airstrip in Kilifi. These upgrades are aimed at enabling these aerodromes to accommodate larger aircrafts, thereby boosting domestic air travel and tourism, honorable members. Furthermore, the ministry has launched an initiative to construct new airstrips in counties that currently lack such infrastructure. This includes the construction and upgrading of 12 additional airstrips nationwide, with notable projects like the Karenga airstrip in Kericho County and the recently reconstructed Matulo airstrip in Bungoma County, which recently saw successful test landing. The ministry is also, honorable members, in the process of establishing an airstrip fund dedicated to the development and maintenance of airstrips across the country. This fund aims to ensure continuous improvement and sustainability of these airstrips to support local air travel and cargo handling capabilities. These efforts, honorable members, reflect a comprehensive strategy to make air travel more accessible and efficient, supporting various sectors such as tourism, healthcare, commerce, and facilitating faster movement of people and goods across the country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Mrango, do you have a supplementary question on that?
This is my final question, Madam Speaker. And I will ask the CS what he is doing to make sure that the Olende constructed loans, which are less than 3 years, they are well maintained. Because some loans like Road 2, Kemande, Kiandieri, Kangaita Road is already dilapidated less than 5 years after constructing it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS.
Thank you for that supplementary question. Like I said again, Honorable Chair, in my opening remarks, as soon as we unlock the challenge of pending bills, and I think that's really my priority agenda, we should be able to get all the contractors back on site. More importantly, the 7 shillings under the Act really should go more into maintenance. Like I said, there are so many orphan roads across the country today, and it appalls upon all of us to ask ourselves, how do we protect the 4 trillion investment that I talked about? Because a stitch in time saves 9. And therefore, let me specifically look at the particular road that has been mentioned by Senator and confirm the kind of scope of maintenance budgetary allocation, but more importantly, look at the bigger picture of ensuring that we do not have any orphan road that does not have allocation for maintenance. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 34, I wish to direct that the session be extended by 15 minutes to accommodate the questions. Thank you. We now move on to Senator Tobiko. Your questions, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, I needed to know from the Cabinet Secretary the status update on the construction of the road of Mombasa Road from the Daystar University Junction to Stony Athi, stating the scope of works and indicating when the project will be completed. Do I ask all the questions or just that one first? All right. And Madam Speaker, I also needed to know from the Cabinet Secretary to provide a status update on the proposed tarmacking of or racing to bitumen standards of the illicit Rombo Taveta Road in Loitoktok. Madam Speaker, I also needed to get a response from the Cabinet Secretary on the state update on the status of Masai Lodge Tuala Kitengela Road in terms of raising to bitumen standards. Madam Speaker, I also needed answers on the progress for the Gataka Ongata Rongai Road, all in Kajiado County. Let the Minister outline the steps being taken by the Ministry to fast track these projects. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Senator Peris Tobiko, I wish to begin by saying that the project title is the upgrading to bitumen standard of road within East African Portland Housing Scheme in Machakos County. Phase 1, the road length is 15 kilometers and the physical progress of construction is 86% completed to date. The detailed scope of the works, if you allow me, Chair, included the site clearance for the whole of the road reserve, earthworks to formation level, construction of 300 to 400 millimeter improved subgrade base, construction of 150 millimeter neat subbase on the carriageway, construction of a 150 millimeter semi-improved base on the carriageway, provision of 50 millimeter thick asphaltic concrete type 1 as wearing course and the 35 millimeter on shoulder where necessary. Construction of a triple box culvert, construction of a series of cross culverts, and construction of access culverts. The project, Honorable Chair members, commenced on the 24th of June 2021, and the expected date of completion is October this year. So we need to just confirm that at 86%, we mobilize resources, to confirm that we are able to finish on that timeline, plus or minus. So, Honorable Chair, Honorable Peris, we seem to be at the tail end, and I'll personally pay attention to the completion of that road, given the fact that we are 86% complete. Regarding the proposed tarmacking of illicit Rombo Taveta Road, Kenya signed a commercial agreement in May 2019 with Sino-Hydro, Annuity Road, lot number 32, the service provider for the development of this road under the road annuity contract of 10-year finance designed, built, maintain, and transfer model. However, following concerns on affordability and value for money, the government of Kenya recommended a review of the project's value for money, position, and consideration of possible restructuring options to enhance value for money, and this is affecting a number of road annuity roads across the country. And to ensure that the project affordability to the government is obtained. The review is currently ongoing. I was talking to my technical team, and under the road annuity program, a road that will otherwise cost the government 65 million per kilometer on an EPC contract costs 125 million on the road annuity program. So, honorable members, we are reviewing that very quickly and will then proceed. Honorable Speaker, the project for upgrading to pitman standard and performance-based routine maintenance of Ongata, Kataka, Mbulbul, Cooperative College, Karen, Matasha, Ongata Rongai, Nazarene University, Rimba Junction, Leswa Academy, Kahara Road, totaling 65 kilometers, again is 57% complete today, with a total of 22 kilometers tarmacked to date, and the remainder at various stages of construction. The project has faced challenges, honorable members, in completion due to the several fiscal distress following the accumulation of significant amount of pending payments owed to the contractor, MS China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, which is currently owed 135 million Kenya shillings. The ministry has forwarded the cumulative pending payments to the National Treasury for funding consideration and has requested Parliament to consider substantially increase the annual allocation to roads to facilitate the comprehensive settlement of pending bills resulting from ongoing stall road projects. But, honorable members, from my initial statement, you'll recall that I did indicate that I'm paying attention and significant attention to the pending bills so that we do not only unlock this road, but all the pending bills cause contractors to suspend works across the country, upon which we should be able to see rejuvenation or contractors back to work to ensure that all our roads are being worked on as it were. In the meantime, the contractor is under instructions to maintain the road ahead of the main works as a situation to ensure that the road is motorable. And Honorable Chair, members, I will pay more attention to this, and I can also do a cup of tea with Paris to really look at the more details on what we need to do to ensure that even as we work on budgetary availability, the road is motorable accordingly. Thank you.
Senator Tobiko, I believe your supplementary could happen during the tea. Do you have a supplementary question?
Tea, you have tea.
Madam Speaker, you know, the people of Kajiado would not have known what transpired during the tea session, so it's good for me to go on record as far as the supplementary is concerned. And Madam Speaker, I'll then be making also a general comment about the response by the CS. Madam Speaker, let me say first, I am shocked and dismayed about the illicit Rombo Taveta Road, Madam Speaker, in Loitoktok. Madam Speaker, and Hansard will bear me witness that his immediate predecessor, who was here, had promised this House that this road is starting in March, Madam Speaker, and we can go back to records. Madam Speaker, government seems to be then changing goalposts in terms of the issue now that he's talking about the review. Madam Speaker, on the ground, it is particularly sensitive about this, issues about this road are particularly sensitive because a rogue public servant has gone on record publicly to say this road will never be done as long as the current member of parliament for Kajiado South, Honorable Parashina, is the MP. Madam Speaker, these utterances were made by the State House Controller, and so it seems like, honestly, the government is changing goalposts. So, Madam Speaker, this is very sad.
Point of order.
You will allow me to put my point across, Madam Speaker.
Gloria, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, in our standing orders, we are prohibited to speak or to impugn improper motive to certain offices, and that includes that of the State House Controller.
Which standing
order? It is in the standing order book.
Which standing order? Senator Tobiko.
Madam Speaker.
Be guided that...
yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, there are no sacred cows in this country. I don't know of any, Madam
Senator
Speaker.
Tobiko, allow me to guide you. Please go to your supplementary question.
Yes,
the
yes.
standing orders do not allow you to go outside of that.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also needed
Senator Mandago, what's your point of order?
My point of order is standing order 105. And Madam Speaker, we should be allowed to raise point of orders, allowing this House for people to make allegations and leaving them on record without following the due requirements of this House, Madam Speaker, is becoming a dangerous precedent. Senator Tobiko has just mentioned State House Controller. Is it in order for her to make that allegation? Unless she substantiates and brings evidence to this House, we should not allow the House to be used as a place that allegations are being made, Madam Speaker.
Senator
and this
Tobiko,
morning, that is also what went on, and the Speaker did not allow point of order.
Senator Tobiko, no, a point of order on a point of order. We haven't even addressed that. Senator Tobiko, you have made allegations about somebody who is not in this House to defend themselves. So you may withdraw or provide information to substantiate what you've said at a later stage.
Madam Speaker, this will give me the best opportunity to provide evidence to this House. And so I am more than ready to bring that evidence, Madam
Senator Tobiko, just hold on.
Madam Speaker, understanding order 101 on contents of speech, I didn't hear Senator Tobiko referring direct to the owner of the State House Controller by name or discussing the conduct. So the threshold that somebody wants to bring that the conduct of State House Controller being discussed is below par. Madam Speaker, so Madam Speaker, she didn't discuss the conduct as per standing order 101 on contents of speech.
So you are out of order, Senator Cherarke.
I'm not out of order.
You
it
are
is
actually
orders.
No. You are trying to interpret, and that is if you have a standing order that you want to raise.
I am trying to guide, Madam Speaker.
I'm ruling you out of order. Please sit. It's your point of order, Senator Kyo. Please.
You know, Madam Speaker, every day is a learning opportunity for all of us. Madam Speaker, if we continue that way, then we are going to really make debate in this House too narrow. Madam Speaker, if I can just
order, Senator Gloria, can you allow...
You can benefit.
Senator
you can also
Kyo
benefit, Senator Gloria. No, Madam Speaker, to the extent that a name has just been dropped, it doesn't mean that the reputation of the person has been put into question. And every time that we do debate here, we mention names, we mention institutions. Madam Speaker, if we say that every time you mention a name, bring a substantive motion, we will not move, Madam Speaker. And you know, Madam Speaker, before Senator Gloria rises on our point of order, Madam Speaker, this matter, I think, is settled by yourself when you say, when Senator Tobiko said that, in fact, by those senators requiring a substantive motion to be brought here, it actually gives an opportunity to Senator Tobiko to bring a case against the State House Controller. Madam Speaker, let us facilitate debate.
Senator Kio, please raise the... you are actually discussing the issue. Senator Tobiko, I ruled on this, that on the matter that you touched, you will have opportunity to actually substantiate. And you can actually substantiate. So it is not an issue of whether debate has been stopped. Order, Senator Gloria. I have not given you any chance to speak. You are out of order. You are out of order. And I will not take it anymore. So proceed on your substantive question. On your supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm ready to produce that evidence. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, also on the issue of the Masai Lodge Tuala Kitengela Road, I have not heard a response from the CS. What he has talked about the Gataka Road, but not Masai Lodge Tuala Kitengela Road. Madam Speaker, there is no response on that one. And Madam Speaker, on the first road, the one from Daystar University to going to Stonyati, what the CS has indicated is that this road is in Machakos County. And yes, indeed it is, but ending in the middle of nowhere, Madam Speaker. And so my hope was that we will be told where this road was extending to, where it was to end, the targeted population, facilities and centers, Madam Speaker, in the hope that, Madam Speaker, because it's at the border, that finally we will have one road crossing Mombasa Road to Kajiado County, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that is what I expected to hear, but we've not been told where this road, where exactly it was going to end, Madam Speaker, and whether it will also serve the people of Kajiado County. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Tobiko, you will provide your evidence by end of day tomorrow. CS, you may now respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Members, the supplementary question on this particular section of road which touches in Kajiado, Elasit, Rombo, Taveta, which I did indicate, honorable members, that it is under road annuity program and which is being restructured to go under EPC. I did also give the numbers, honorable members, that to build a rural road on EPC cost us an average of 65 million against the finance, design, build, maintain, and transfer annuity program, which cost the government 125 million. What the ministry is currently doing, and a bit of time was taken in transferring this program from an annuity program to an EPC to avoid any legal challenges thereafter, took time, honorable members, walking the journey of translating that project to EPC through the Attorney General. And I want to confirm that with a project, like I said, 86% complete and being only 15 kilometers, honorable members, I will pay attention and ensure that we do accelerate and finish not just this project, which is 86%, but most of those projects which are near completion, so that we do not have pending works all over the country, and yet the projects are at the tail end of completion. So, Honorable Chair, allow me to prosecute this over that cup of tea with Paris and ensure that we finish this road. The movement of the road from road annuity program to EPC and complete the 15-kilometer road, remaining 14%. And I will want to confirm, on record, that I'll pay attention to this. As regarding this other road, which we seems to have skipped our attention, the Masai Lodge, Tuala, Kitengela, because I don't have a well-thought-out response and it skipped our attention, allow me, Chair, to resubmit the response on the status of the Masai Lodge, Kitengela Road in Kajiado County. Thank you, Chair.
That is okay. Now we move on to Senator Professor Ojenda, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I proceed to ask question number 061 to the CS Roads and Transport. Part A, is the ministry currently undertaking real-time mapping of all roads, bridges, and other transport infrastructure affected by the April-May 2024 unprecedented rains and floods? And if so, could the CS provide a list of all affected transport infrastructure across the country? B, what flood mitigation measures are required to bring each affected infrastructure to a state where it can withstand the rains and floods currently being witnessed in the country, and which are the budgetary implications of such improvements? Could the Cabinet Secretary outline the obligation of the national government vis-a-vis those of the county governments regarding the reconstruction of each transport infrastructure affected by the floods? D, what long-term measures are being implemented to address the poor drainage systems throughout major cities and towns in the country, ensuring that such occurrences do not repeat in the future? And what are the budgetary implications of these actions? Lastly, could the CS, or what steps are being taken to compensate victims of past transport infrastructure engineering that resulted in the changes to the path and course of various rivers, of course Nairobi River in particular, hence the flooding of some homes and human settlements that naturally were not in the path of these rivers? CS, thank you, Madam Speaker.
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Professor. Let me confirm, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, that the Ministry, through its road agencies, actively undertaking real-time monitoring and mapping of infrastructure affected by unusual heavy rains during the period April-May 24, as well as the El Nino rains of October-December 2023. This initiative aims to facilitate timely repair and reconstruction efforts. The detailed report on the observed damage to our transport infrastructure is presented together with my report, and I hope the members can make reference to that. The required mitigation measures, Chair, vary depending on the structure and the type of road pavement. Road structures such as bridges and culverts are designed to handle abnormal flows over specific return periods without incurring damage. To carry out the necessary reinstatement works, comprehensive hydrological and hydraulic studies are conducted to inform the design of these structures. Subsequently, the required works include the reinstatement of structures, enhancement of drainage systems, protection works, rebuilding and embankments, and redesign of roads, pavement, and alignments. The proposed budget to facilitate these activities is also annexed, honorable members. Honorable Speaker, according to the fourth schedule of the Constitution of Kenya on the devolved functions, the national government responsible for the construction is responsible for the construction and operation of national trunk roads and set standards for the construction and maintenance of roads by both the national and the county governments. The county government is responsible for the construction and operation of county roads. From this, Chair, honorable members, it is evident that the national government ensures that national trunk roads meet the required standards for safety, durability, and resilience against natural disasters such as floods. In setting standards for counties, The national government provides technical expertise, guidelines, and material construction methods and maintenance practices to be followed by county governments. The county government, on the other hand, ensures accessibility and maintains roads to be passable and safe for all users. Both levels of government, Honorable Chair, members must collaborate in assessing and planning the construction of infrastructure affected by floods and instituting flood mitigation measures. On the issue of the ministry, what the ministry is currently doing, we're currently reviewing road design manuals to incorporate flood mitigation designs, principles, ensuring more resilient infrastructure capable of withstanding climate change challenges we've lately seen because of climate change challenges. The securing of waterways is ongoing to support this initiative. The ministry recognizes its constitutional and legal obligation in executing road projects. And during project conceptualization and throughout implementation stages, stakeholder consultation and engagements are deliberately undertaken, where technical and economical feasibility outflows are designed to channel road drainage water to the nearest water course. Land acquisition and compensation are carried out whenever outflows way leaves are acquired. River training is undertaken, that is redirecting water or rivers during such works, are undertaken where necessary to improve the flows of rivers, which ordinarily falls within the riparian reserve. This is really more on mitigation measures to ensure the design and redesigning of works is able to withstand a lot of the weather, environmental weather challenges that we have lately seen. And I'm aware that Professor Ojenda has been seeking to talk to me. Professor, I'll be available and we can look at some of this design together with our technical teams. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Senator Professor Ojenda, do you have a supplementary question?
Madam Speaker, I am satisfied with the response of the CS. I will follow up my supplementaries when I meet the CS. Thank you.
Next is Senator Newton.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I have just three very short questions to the Honorable CS. And one, why are and could the Cabinet Secretary state when such markings will be drawn and signage put up? Number B, Madam Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary state when the footbridge at Kennel Town will be completed and clarify whether there are plans to construct a footbridge near Kimorori Primary School to serve the 1,700 pupils and teachers of the school who currently have to walk for approximately a kilometer to cross the road? And finally, Madam Speaker, when will the construction of the said road be?
Chair, Honorable Chair, I wish to state that the construction of Kenol Sagana Marwa Road is still ongoing in some sections, and the final road marking, Chair, will be done once the works are completed. Currently, there are temporary markings on the final layer where the traffic has been allowed to use, but as soon as we sign off with the contractor, we should be able to quickly finalize the marking. This is a safety issue, and therefore we'll pay attention to that. Final road markings are in place for the following completed section: Lot 1, 48 kilometers on the entire road, Senator Joe Nyoto. Lot 2, which is 17 kilometers, section has been taken over, and therefore they are marking those areas. But I'll undertake with the technical team at the ministry to ensure that the safety issues are immediately addressed, because marking will support the safety concerns of the road users. The construction of the footbridge at Kenol is currently 60% completed. Honorable Chair, with steel fabrication for the deck underway at the fabricator's yard. However, the footbridge near Kimorori Primary has faced delays due to pending land acquisition for the bridge landing.
CS, I think the session now will end. Honorable Senators, it's now 1:15, and having extended this sitting by 15 minutes, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, 18th September 2024 at 2:30 p.m. CS, this session is not over. There were a few more questions and we didn't get members to ask, so we will be getting in touch, reschedule another session